What happened? You are viewing Indica Moksha screen, okay.
Shruti, you can start with the trail.
Sangeeta ji, please go ahead.
Namaskaram. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to the Festival of Oneness by Indica Moksha. Today we have Swami Bodhananda Saraswati for the session. Today's topic is Shankara's concept on Mithya and its application in enlightened life. We will start the session with a prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samarprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvata Ankikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarva Vahmayam Aharyam Chandra Taradi Tvam Namaha Satvikam Shivam. Let me introduce Swamiji. Swami Bodhananda Saraswati. Swami Bodhananda Saraswati is an Indian spiritual leader and teacher of meditation, yoga, and Vedanta. He is a spiritual founder and chairman of the Sambodh Foundation in India, the Sambodh Society in USA, Sambodh Center for Human Excellence, and the Bodhananda Research Foundation for Management and Leadership Studies. He is a native of Kochi. He traveled to the Himalayas after his studies to learn Advaita. He then set up his own research institution in Delhi. He teaches about Advaita, meditation, and management. His publications in the area of Indian management are based on Indian philosophical theories of personality, self-unfoldment, as explained in Bhagavadpada and other Indian wisdom texts. He develops a theory of transcendental leadership that emphasizes the human possibilities. On the impact of yoga on the emotional intelligence of managers, Swami Bodhananda believes that it is very important to live in constant awareness of oneself so that one has power over one's thoughts and can choose responses to the world as per one's values. Swamiji, we can start the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
My humble pranams.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you, Nitin. And thank you. And namaste to all of you, the listeners. And today's topic, first of all, I congratulate you for organizing such sessions on Advaita Vedanta and on Shankaracharya. It's very timely that we need discussions and conversations on this theme of oneness, where the world is increasingly being divided in the name of religion, country, ideology, and all such divisive concepts. So the message of oneness is very, very important, and we have to engage in conversation. So I think this is a very important movement that you have started. Reflection, collective reflection on oneness. My topic today is Shankara's concept of Mithya and its application in enlightened living. That's my topic. Why I chose this topic is because there's a lot of misunderstanding about the concept of Mithya or Maya, Prakriti, Trigunas. As a result of those misconceptions, people adopt a wrong lifestyle. They think the world is not there, the world is an illusion. We have nothing to do with the world is a prison. Therefore, I have to run away from the world. I must go and sit in a cave, or I must give up this body. So those kind of a perverted thinking as a result of the misunderstanding of this concept of Mithya. So I thought we have to really reflect, engage in a dialogue on this idea or the concept of Mithya. And Shankaracharya introduced this concept in his explanatory strategy or teaching technique, or making us realize that our nature is Brahman, or that infinite blissful consciousness. So what is the meaning of Mithya or Maya? So Shankara defines Mithya as neither real or unreal. Sada asadbhyam anirvajaneya Mithya. Mithya is neither real or unreal. You cannot say it is real, nor can you say it unreal. It is something in between real and unreal. So that is a special category of thought that Shankaracharya introduced in the Advaita discourse. Of course, in his Brahma Sutra, he begins by two concepts, two binary concepts, I should say. Asmad yusmat pratyaya gojaryoho vishaya vishayinoho tamapragashavad viruddha svabhavayo. So these two concepts are the object of asmat pratyam, I experience, and yushmat pratyam, the thou experience or the it experience. In the modern language, we can say the field of subjective experience and the field of objective experience, and the twain shall never meet. If at all they meet and mix, it is a result of ignorance. So the subject is subject, the object is object. Object can never be the subject, subject can never be the object. This is how it begins. So these are two opposite, different categories of experience. I can never objectify myself. Of course, I can objectify my body, my thoughts, my memories, my ego, my emotions, my ideologies, my convictions, my beliefs, I can objectify. But the one who objectifies itself or herself or himself cannot be objectified. That is a kind of contradiction between the subjective experience and the objective experience. So this is one category of thought that Shankaracharya introduces. You can call it the contradiction between Prakriti and Purusha, Kshetra and Kshatrajna, I and thou. So various similar synonymous terms are introduced in the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedantic literature. But there is a higher category of thought introduced by Shankaracharya that is called Satya and Mithya. Satya is truth, unchanging existence, ontological truth, and Mithya is transient, changing, has no particular defined nature, but still it is there. So Shankara introduced a higher category of Satya and Mithya. And they don't contradict each other. They can coexist. Just as the water and the wave coexist. You cannot take away wave from the water. When you look at the wave, you are looking at the water. Or the clay and the pot cannot contradict each other. You cannot say, when there is clay, there is no pot. Where there is pot, there is no clay. In fact, the truth of the matter is, wherever there is pot, there is a clay. Wherever there is clay, there need not be a pot. But wherever there is a pot, there has to be the clay if it is a clay pot. Or wherever there is a wave, there has to be water. You cannot put it in the inverse order. Wherever there is water, there need not be wave. But wherever there is wave, there should be water. So the idea is that Mithya, which refers to the world, objective world, including the inner and the outer thoughts and inner thoughts and outer events, which is called Mithya. Mithya cannot exist without Satya. Satya may exist without Mithya, but Mithya cannot exist without Satya. So this being the truth. Now how do we understand Mithya? The general meaning given to Mithya is that which doesn't exist. Same meaning is given to Maya. Maya is that which doesn't exist. Of course, there is a definition for Maya, Ya Ma Sa Maya, which is that which is not is Maya. But Ma also can mean a measure. Maya is a measure. Maya is trying to measure in terms of time, space, structure, relationship, qualities. So Maya is measuring. It's a measure of things. The way to understand the objective world. So Maya can mean a measure. Maya can mean that which doesn't exist. Maya also can mean akharita ghatana padiyasi Maya, which can set up things which really independently do not exist. Meaning, Maya sets up things which has got a dependent existence, not an independent existence. So my point was, whether it is Maya or Prakriti or Mithya or ignorance, even ignorance. Ignorance is not totally non-existing. It exists when it is available, and when in awakened state it doesn't exist. So let us lump all these terms together to avoid confusion. Mithya, Maya, Prakriti, Shakti, all these words indicate the same phenomenon. The phenomenon of the objective experience world. So this world, the objective experience world, is presented to, let's say, consciousness or Brahman. I am conscious of this objective world. So the misunderstanding that Mithya or Maya or the world is something which doesn't exist is not the impression or idea given by Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya uses the definition Sada Asadbhyam Anirvachaniya Maya. Maya is that which cannot be defined as either existing or non-existing. So I would say Maya is something like a phenomena or a field, an opportunity, an instrument, a tool used by Brahman to explore and express his infinite potentialities. Because Maya, Brahmashraya, Maya Asti, says Shankaracharya in the Tattvabodha. So Maya is a tool used by Brahman. And when you use that tool, Brahman uses that tool to realize itself. At this point, Brahman is symbol, joy, happiness, Adachida, Anandam. But the Satchidananda aspect of Brahman is to be realized, to be experienced, to be explored, to be expressed. Then alone its full blast can be understood. So therefore, I would say Maya is not totally non-existent, nor it is totally existent. It has got a dependent existence, which Shankaracharya says, Mayayaha satyabhakshatum asti. Maya requires Satya, truth, as the foundation, just as the waves require water as the foundation. So from this understanding, when we say Maya is not something to be waved away or to be wished away, to remove, Maya gains or Mithya gains a positive value. What is the positive value? It is a field for Brahman. It's a tool of Brahman to express itself. In the Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, Sa kamayata. Brahman desired. The truth, there was in the very heart of reality, there was a ripple of a desire. What was the so kamayata? Bahusyam prajayayadi. May I become many. That desire, to become many, to manifest, was there in the heart of Brahman. Nobody forced Brahman to entertain that desire, nor was Brahman desiring something outside itself. The desire is a unique, self-generated energy. So out of that desire manifests the world of Trigunas. The first is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, then the Panchabhutas, then these various permutation and combinations, the sense organs, the organs of action, mind, and the world outside, and through their interaction, memories, and the entire infrastructure, the entire rigmarole, the entire structure manifested out of this fundamental desire that Brahman entertained, not because of any lack in Brahman, but because of his fullness. So Brahman being full, the desire to express his fullness in manifold ways, in minute details, and in all its complexities and structures and relationships. Brahman had that desire. So Taittiriya Upanishad says, So kamayada bahusyam prajayedi satabhotapyada sadapastaptva idagam sarvam asrijada. And then he brought forth out of Brahman itself. Brahman is both the material and the vision cause, and the whole world manifested out of Brahman, arose out of Brahman, like waves arise out of water. So this being the case, so we have to understand that this tool that Brahman uses can be modified, can be changed, can have different functions. So the tool is a very multi-dimensional, multifaceted, multi-purpose tool which Brahman uses. So this Brahman is not different from you and I. That is a central truth, the secret discussed in the Upanishad. The Upanishad is not talking about a Brahman somewhere outside beyond the clouds sitting in a cave or somewhere. Upanishad say the Brahman is in the cave, sits in the cave of the heart. So that's the Taittiriya Upanishad also say that. Yo Veda Nihidam Guhayam Those who realize Brahman in the cave of the heart, meaning one has to realize Brahman through the medium of Akhandagara Vritti, in the silence of your heart. You have to realize Brahman. So the main theme of the Upanishad is not only discussing Brahman and Maya and world and their relationships. The main mandate of the Upanishad is to say that you and I are Brahman. We are Brahman. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. And this Brahman's nature is happiness. That is essential nature. So Brahman's nature, essential nature is happiness, consciousness, truth, the very source of the world. Truth means Brahman is the inexhaustible source of the world. And the world, when it manifests, it is awared by consciousness. And this world is an expression of happiness. So, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma, Tada Ahamasmi. This Brahman I am. And then I have a desire to objectify, to bring forth, and to enjoy my own happiness. Otherwise, it remains frozen in Brahman. It has to be activated. So that process is happening by this desire. So my main point is that the Mithya or Maya or Prapancham or Prakriti or Shakti is not a non-existent entity. It is not Asabda, nor it is Sat. It is something in between category. So this has to be very, very clearly understood. Otherwise, we will fall between the stools. Otherwise, we will fall between the gaps. We have to understand the clear meaning of Mithya. It is a tool used by you and I. So one aspect of Mithya is our body, mind, ego complex. Because Mithya is Trigunas. Our body, mind, ego complex is a permutation, combination of Trigunas. So our body, mind, ego complex become a tool. And the world outside also is a combination of Satya, Rajas, Tamas. So the world outside, the body-mind complex, and their interactions create these personalities, individualities, jivas, which you and I are on a certain level. So this body-mind ego complex, interacting with the world, become the theater where Brahman manifests in manifold ways. And when we understand that, the world is not a torture chamber. The world is not a prison house. The world becomes a playground where we can compete, we can create teams, we can create goals, we can pursue that goals. And whether we realize those goals or not, doesn't matter. As Bhagavad Gita says, Sugadukke same krutva, labha labho jaya jayo, tado yuddha yujjasa. Doesn't matter whether you realize the goal, whether you become a failure or success. Even in failure and success, you can be happy. You can happily fail. You can happily be successful also, which is called the sportsman spirit. The sportsman spirit is you compete, you create teams, and you may fail, you may lose, somebody else may win, doesn't matter. But that very opportunity to compete, the very opportunity to express oneself is what is more important. Because as we interact with the world, we are able to express our happiness, our energy, our truth, our values. So finally, the world becomes an opportunity, not a calamity. The world is a promise, not a dystopia, but it is a utopia where you can realize your potential A playground is not a calamity. It is an opportunity for the player. The goal is not to simply kick the ball. He kicks the ball, and when he reaches the ball, again he kicks the ball. Isn't it in a football? He is not trying to get the ball. When he reaches the ball, he kicks the ball. And in the process, he realizes himself, the sportsman in him, and he realizes his inner bliss. So my point was, let's not hate the world. Let us embrace the world. Let us not hate our body. Let us embrace our body. Let us not hate our memories. Let us embrace our memories. Let us not hate our emotions. Let us embrace our emotions. At the same time, let us recognize the other also. Let us embrace the other. All these are, as Bhagavad Gita says, guna gunesha vartande. One lump of gunas interacting with another lump of gunas. One wave interacting with the another wave. In the process, the water is discovering its infinite potential. So this is the message of Bhagavad Gita or Shankaracharya. Arjuna wanted to run away from the battlefield, but Bhagavan Krishna wanted him to stay put in the battlefield, fight the battle. He may win or lose, doesn't matter, but in the process, he is not only doing his duty, he is also expressing his infinite potential. So this expressing one's infinite potential, one's happiness, is called enlightenment as you interact with the world. So, and hence the concept called Jivan mukti. Jivan mukti is Jivan neva, while you are living. Pashyan, Shrunnan, Pushan, Jikran, Asran, Shaban, while you are going through all these biological and social and cultural activities, you are abiding in that center or the self. Meaning, can I interact with the world without losing myself? Which is very important. Most of the people, when they interact with the world, they get excited. They lose their center and they become eccentric in the process. So, can I interact with the world with the firm conviction, Aham Brahmasmi, my nature is happiness, otherwise, so that I don't have to interact with the world for happiness. Can I interact with the world as a happy person? And we know, when you are happy, we are in Brahman. When you are unhappy, you are pretending that you have moved away from Brahman, because you cannot be un-Brahman, because your nature is that. Even when you are unhappy, see, because that unhappiness is aware, is shining in consciousness, we can immediately remember your nature as Brahman. Just as when you see the pot, you are seeing the clay. Similarly, when you are aware your unhappiness, you know that you are not unhappy. Unhappiness is Mithya. It is neither real nor unreal. That realization. So Bhagavan Krishna didn't want Arjuna to run away from the battlefield. He said, through fighting, through engaging with the world, with all its limitation, you are able to abide in your Brahman nature. So I would say Shankaracharya was a prophet of supreme activity, supreme involvement, supreme engagement in the highest order of intellectual, moral, and ethical and aesthetic sensitivities. A man of action. Shankaracharya himself, he left his home at the age of 12, and then he never rested thereafter. It was a life of study, reflection, debate, writing texts, commentaries, establishing institutions, renovating temples, teaching students, and putting them into responsible positions, creating organizations. He was supremely active. He burned from both ends. Similarly, Swami Vivekananda. Similarly, Yajnavalkya, Sri Krishna, Lord Rama, Hanuman, Vyasa. Even Maharishi Aurobindo, though he sat in a room for 50 years, he was continuously working, writing books, poems, sending messages, thinking deeply about the heart of truth. So all of them were very active people. So Brahman, Brahmajnanam, knowledge, doesn't make you an inactive person. It makes you very active person, very responsible person, very much involved in the world with all its problems. So therefore, one has to understand the true meaning of Mithya. Mithya does not mean non-existence. Mithya does not mean false. So Shankaracharya gave you these three order of realities. Paramarthikam, Vyavaharikam, and Pratibhasika. Pratibhasika is your private reality. And it has got a reality because you experience it. But others may not experience. So I would call it private reality. And you have to deal with your private reality. And as you deal with your private reality, your emotions, your frustrations, your disappointments, your aspirations, with understanding that you are Brahman. So all these private reality become a field for you to explore and express yourself. Similarly, there is a public reality, you call Vyavaharikam, which you and I see. This table in front of me is a public reality. It is not my creation, my mental creation, the table here. That is called a public reality. So public reality is another theater where we have to be involved with all its challenges. And as I relate with the public reality, connect with the people, I get a better understanding of who I am when I deal with them. My emotions are chastened. I understand my own angularities as I deal with the public reality. And then there is the Paramarthika Satya, the absolute truth. And they all have their own relevance in their own respective areas. You cannot reduce one to the other. Then the game is over. Then there is only, you get a lump. So these three order of realities, as Bhagavad Gita says, Tama Purusha, Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, three order of reality. There is Kshara Purusha, the Jiva, there is Akshara Purusha, Ishvara, and there is Uttama Purusha, Brahman. So these three order of realities are not reduced to each other. They have their existence at their own level. So the ability to swing, to migrate from the absolute to the relative or the Paramarthikam, from Paramarthika to Vyavaharika, Vyavaharika to Pratibhasika, private reality, public reality, the absolute reality, our ability to move, migrate from one to the other depending upon the situation, I would call it enlightenment. Then you are a Jivan Mukta. So Jivan Mukti, living ever liberator. while you are talking and walking and fighting and then raising a family, building a big business, or running for electoral offices, or doing research or teaching, while you are doing all this, can you remain as Brahman? You don't require them to disappear. These activities need not be disappear. Which Bhagavad Gita says, karmani akarma darshanam. Ability to remain calm in the midst of all activities, to be the eye of the storm. That ability is what is called Jivan, mukti, or enlightenment. So Shankara does not believe in reductionism. He doesn't reduce the world completely into Brahman, nor Brahman completely into the world. He doesn't reduce. He doesn't reduce the Jiva completely into Ishvara or Ishvara into Brahman. He retains those boundaries and the play, interaction among them is the joy of living. Otherwise, you become an ideologue, a theoretician, not a practitioner. You don't enjoy what is being said or the reality. So this understanding of Mithya is very, very central in understanding the whole concept of Advaita, elaborated by Shankaracharya and his Guru Bhagavadpada, and the success. And I am aware, I am cognizant of the fact that the later interpreters of Advaita forgot this fact. They made the world an inhabitable, inhospitable place, a prison chamber, a torture chamber. Of course, there are certain slokas in Bhagavad Gita also, or from other scriptures, which describe the world as a temporary abode, or the world as a torture chamber, the world as a prison house, Prakriti is a prison house. There are certain statements like that. But those statements, psychological props, psychological techniques to make the people to search for something higher than the world. That does not mean the world is a torture chamber. There is something higher reality. From that standpoint of the higher, you understand the world better, you establish a better relationship with it. That's the meaning of that. That does not mean the world is bad or world is not there, or the body, mind, ego complex is a prison. I must get rid of them. Of course, some of our acharyas preach this. Therefore, some of the acharyas, after learning the scripture, they committed suicide or jivatya. They want to give up the body. Maybe the Jain munis, they don't take bath, they don't brush their teeth, they pull their hair, they walk naked. They have nothing to do with the world. There are this kind of misunderstanding. So it is time for us to really understand what is the meaning of Mithya. When we say the world is Maya, does not mean the world is not there. That's a very one-sided understanding of Advaita. Sadvaita means you include everything. You don't reduce, you don't take away nothing. Include everything. You don't suppress nothing. You allow everything to express. Everything in their uniqueness express. Advaita is a grand master. He allows every musician using their musical instrument play. And then all these different notes and are harmonized into an experience of sublime beauty. Advaita doesn't reduce everything into a miasma. Advaita doesn't preach a melting pot ideology. Advaita preaches a salad bowl ideology, where everything can remain in their, keep their uniqueness, and at the same time relate with the other and create a better harmony and symphony. So that is the idea of Mithya. So I want to emphasize, Mithya does not mean total non-existent, atyanta bhavam. That's not the meaning of Mithya. Of course, there is anyonya bhavam in Mithya. A table is not a chair. Table has its function, chair has its own function. But together they create a common space. Together they create a higher purpose. If I have a table and chair, I can sit on the chair and write and eat or on the table. So the table and chair create a higher function, higher reality. A pen and a paper create a higher reality. They are unique in themselves. So similarly, the whole world with all its uniqueness are maintained. We are not suppressing, we are not smothering, we are not reducing everything into a miasma. Every entity in the world has its own identity, its own uniqueness. They have a purpose, they have a mission, they have an identity. So together, I can call it Ishvara concept. All of them together, Ishvara. A jiva is a particular entity. All jivas put together become Ishvara. That Ishvara is an expression of Brahman. Brahman, then Brahman is in dance, like a Shiva dancing. The world, Shiva meditating, the world sleeps. Of course, the world goes through this process. It manifests, it grows to a certain maturity, then it declines, then it goes back to the Sushupti state, again it comes back. It may go through these cyclical order, but still it is there. So my submission is, let us not say the world is painful, there is no world. The world is there at a certain level for us to interact and to expand our mind and to realize our Brahman nature. And after realization, the world is again required for us to express ourselves. So happiness, when it is not expressed through interaction, is not enjoyed fully. Happiness is fully realized in interactive space. If you sit alone in a corner, then happiness is not experienced. You pull a long face and sit there. You have to interact with people, interact with the entire environment. Try to know more and more. Try to know all aspects of the complex aspect of existence. So you need both spiritual as well as material. Matter, I should say, is a flowering of the spirit. And spirit is the root of matter. Without the root, there is no flower. Without flower, the root has no purpose. Both are necessary. World is necessary, body is necessary, and that wholeness of thing is called Brahman, or the truth. So friends, my point was, Jivan Mukti means living an active life without getting lost, without losing our true nature. To put it simply, I would say the message is, live actively in the world. Embrace more and more aspects of life. Expand your mind. Be fearless. Be happy. There's nothing to fear. After all, you are immortal. You cannot lose yourself. So with that confidence, happily live in this world. That is the message that Shankaracharya gives. That is what he did. He lived for 32 years. That was the time allotted to him by the divine. And he packed his life with all kind of activity at different levels. He packed his life. That is the message of Shankara. Shankara is not simply what he wrote, but what he did. His message was his life. Because when you write, you may not be able to express everything what you have in mind. When you speak, you may not be able to express everything. But your life is a true message. And Shankara's life, very active life. So be actively involved in the world with the realization you are Brahman, and your Brahmanhood can be completely understood only by interacting with the world. So I would say the world is a Brahman project. Jiva is a Brahman project. For Brahman to realize its fullness in its total flourish. And you are that. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
That was such a wonderful session, Swamiji. My humble pranams to you again. Thank you so much for that wonderful session. There's only one question which has come up, but then you have explained it so well. It's again, it's all about, please explain in itself, what does Brahman stand for? So the entire talk you explained it so well. What does Brahman stand for actually?
Something like, after reading the whole Ramayana, what is Sita's relationship to Rama? That doesn't make any sense.
This came a little early, actually, this question. But then by the end of the session, you really gave a kind of beautiful explanation for that. So I don't think we should again discuss about the same thing, because it's already, and it's a really wonderful session, actually. Thank you so much.
Sangeeta ji, I think there is a question now. You can check.
There's a question now?
Yeah. Towards the end.
Yeah. Pranams Guruji. Are there interpretations which suggest that the world and the dream are of the same order of reality and therefore equally unreal, and therefore there are only two orders of reality?
So what is the question? Of course, dream has its place, and we spend a lot of time in dreaming. Even when you are listening to me, you are dreaming, I am sure. Well, so we spend a lot of time dreaming, and dreaming is not a bad thing. When you dream, you can make the world a better place, your life a better experience. So dream is not a bad thing. It has got a certain reality. So to waking also a certain reality. So we can reduce the waking into dream. But why do you reduce? Waking is waking, dream is dream. Sleep also has got a reality. Without sleep, you cannot lead a life of sanity. If you don't sleep for 1 week, what will happen to you? So sleep is very, very important. Dream is very important. And waking also is important. Everything is important in their own place. Nothing can be given up. God was not stupid to create dreams and waking and sleep. Everything has got its own place. I hope I responded to your question. But you didn't ask any question. You only said dream and waking are they the same? Why do you make it the same? They're different. It's the same, they are the same, because they all come from the same Brahman. Any other question?
No, Swamiji, that's a question. I don't think, because you have answered almost all points, what people have in their mind, actually. So not much of questions, actually.
How many people are listening? 10 people?
No.
We have more than 50 people.
More than 50 people.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't see anybody's face. Why don't you show some faces at least, so the speaker gets some inspiration to speak?
Swamiji, this is a webinar platform, webinar format, so where the attendees are not visible to the speaker, but speaker
Why?
is visible to the. I mean, that is how the Zoom format is there. It is not a Zoom meeting, Swamiji.
Oh, okay. I would recommend you because you should see the speaker's face, I mean, the audience face. Otherwise, you are speaking to yourself, which may not be that inspiring. I don't know, some people can speak like that, but I'm not used to that. So I was seeing myself, and speaking. Anyway, that's your style. I'm not going to dispute that. You must be having a reason for why you are not showing us the face. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nithya.
Swamiji.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Yeah,
you,
so,
Swamiji.
before we conclude, I'll just announce that tomorrow morning we have a session 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And the topic is the heart of Bhagavadpada as revealed by Vachaspati Mishra, and the speaker is Professor K. Ramasubramanian Ji. And before we conclude, we just conclude with a prayer,
Okay.
Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakriti swabhava karomi atyat sakalam parasme narayana iti samapya. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
Swamiji once again.
Yeah.